we have to add some twists and stuff.
Okay. Some twists. Like what kind of twists?
I see dead people.
In your dreams?
The Sixth Sense wasn't just a movie. It was a storm of punishment deals, haunting auditions, hidden codes, and eerie coincidences that nearly derailed it before it ever reached theaters. From Bruce Willis being forced into the role as payback for a Hollywood disaster, to child actors who almost changed the film forever, and even real paranormal chills behind the scenes, this story is packed with twists more shocking than the movie's famous ending. So today, we're diving into 15 unbelievable facts about The Sixth Sense. The near misses, the hidden details, and the behind-the-scenes chaos that made it a classic. Bruce Willis' secret punishment deal. Most fans don't realize that Bruce Willis didn't even want to be in The Sixth Sense. He was forced into it. Just a few years earlier, Willis was producing a Disney film called Broadway Brawler. Within weeks, he fired most of the crew, including the director, and the production collapsed in chaos. Disney lost nearly $18 million, and the studio wasn't about to let him walk away without consequences. To make up for the disaster, Willis signed a 3-picture deal that would funnel a portion of his salary back to the company. That deal led him to Armageddon, The Kid, and in the middle, The Sixth Sense. What was supposed to be punishment ended up becoming one of the most iconic performances of his career. The irony is impossible to ignore. Without that colossal failure, Bruce Willis may never have stepped into the role of Dr. Malcolm Crowe. Sometimes Hollywood's biggest mistakes create its greatest masterpieces. Haley Joel Osment's audition that stopped the room cold. At just 10 years old, Haley Joel Osment didn't walk into his audition. He owned it. Wearing a neatly knotted tie that gave him an aura of confidence, he asked for 30 seconds of silence before stepping into character. Then, with tear-stained cheeks, he delivered his monologue with such raw fear and authenticity that the entire room froze. Casting director Ike Kaufman admitted he felt an instant need to protect him, while Night Shyamalan himself struggled to hold back tears. The search for Cole ended the moment Osment spoke. No other child actor came close. The performance left such a mark that Shyamalan later framed the very tie Osment wore, hanging it in his office as a reminder of the moment everything clicked. It wasn't just an audition, it was lightning in a bottle. Osment's sincerity and emotional precision gave The Sixth Sense the heart it needed, proving that sometimes one perfect performance can change the entire direction of a film. Michael Cera's happy audition. It's almost impossible to imagine The Sixth Sense without Haley Joel Osment, but another future star once came close to playing Cole. A young Michael Cera auditioned for the role, but he completely misunderstood the movie's tone. Instead of channeling dread and sadness, he played a scene upbeat and optimistic. At the time, he didn't realize the story was about ghosts, so in one emotional moment that was meant to be heartbreaking, he delivered his lines with cheerful enthusiasm. Years later, Cera admitted in an interview that he had no clue the film was about seeing dead people until he finally watched it. Looking back, he realized how wildly off his audition was compared to Osment's haunting performance. It's one of those rare Hollywood what-ifs. If Osment hadn't nailed his audition, The Sixth Sense could have been remembered for a very different and far less terrifying reason. The hidden language of red. Shyamalan and cinematographer Tak Fujimoto created a secret code inside The Sixth Sense using one color, red. Anytime red appeared on screen, it signaled a brush with the supernatural. A crimson doorknob, a lone red ball, or even Cole's wax saint statue weren't just props. They were warnings. The effect was so subtle that most viewers didn't consciously notice, yet their minds were trained to feel uneasy every time the color appeared. That creeping sense of dread wasn't an accident. It was psychological storytelling at its finest. Pulling it off took incredible effort. The team ran more than a dozen dye tests just to find the perfect shade that would pop against the film's cold, bluish palette. Shyamalan wanted it to stand out without being obvious, a signal from the other side hidden in plain sight. By the time audiences realized what was happening, the film had already manipulated them into fear, proving one carefully chosen color could be scarier than any jump scare. Bruce Willis didn't know the ending. To protect the film's massive twist, even Bruce Willis himself was kept in the dark. The script he received was missing the last 10 pages, leaving him unaware of how the story would actually end. The true finale was stored in a password-protected digital file nicknamed The Vault, and only a handful of people were ever granted access. Even during post-production, engineers were misled with fake lines and placeholder dialogue to keep the secret under wraps. The result? Willis watched the completed film for the first time and felt the twist just as powerfully as the audience did. His stunned reaction to learning Malcolm Crowe's true fate was genuine, something no amount of acting could replicate. By keeping even their star in the dark, Shyamalan and his team pulled off one of cinema's most shocking reveals without a single leak.
You were never second. Ever. You sleep now. Everything will be different in the morning.
I See Dead People almost got cut. It's hard to imagine The Sixth Sense without its most chilling line, but the studio nearly killed it. Early marketing surveys labeled I See Dead People as corny and predicted audiences would laugh instead of shiver. Executives pushed to remove it, worried it would sink the film's credibility. For Shyamalan, though, the line wasn't just dialogue. It was the heartbeat of the entire story, delivered in a whisper that carried more weight than any scream. To prove his point, Shyamalan played real recordings of children describing nightmares in flat, eerie monotones. The room went silent, and suddenly the line no longer seemed silly. It felt haunting. His gamble paid off. Instead of being scrapped, the line became one of the most iconic in cinema history, quoted endlessly and burned into pop culture. Without it, The Sixth Sense might have lost the very moment that made audiences lean in and never forget. Deleted Hospital Wing of Horrors. Not every scene made it into the final cut, and one of the scariest was buried forever. In a deleted sequence, Cole walks through a shadowy hospital wing lined with mutilated, disfigured ghosts. Some were missing limbs, others had gaping wounds, and all reached for him as he moved silently down the corridor. The imagery leaned into classic horror, raw, graphic, and disturbing in a way the rest of the film avoided. Shyamalan ultimately cut the scene, deciding it pushed the movie into slasher territory instead of psychological suspense. By removing it, he preserved the film's haunting subtlety, leaving terror to the imagination instead of splattering it on screen. Fans who've heard descriptions of the lost scene still wonder what it looked like, but Shyamalan's choice proved restraint can be far scarier than shock value. Pretty crazy so far, right? Keep watching, because we still have the soundtrack spoiler, haunted sets, and Toni Collette's eerie encounters coming up, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. Donnie Wahlberg's shocking transformation. Donnie Wahlberg may have only appeared in the opening minutes of The Sixth Sense, but his commitment to the role was extreme. To embody Vincent, Malcolm's tormented former patient, Wahlberg lost 43 pounds in just 5 weeks. He lived in near poverty during his preparation, fasting for days, chewing gum to fight hunger, and even sleeping in parks to feel broken and desperate. By the time cameras rolled, his physical and emotional transformation was so raw that it stunned both Bruce Willis and the crew. The performance lasts barely 10 minutes, but it sets the chilling tone for the entire film. Wahlberg himself admitted that if he hadn't suffered before stepping into that scene, he couldn't have bared his soul in front of Willis and Olivia Williams. His drastic sacrifice added a brutal authenticity that made Vincent unforgettable, proving sometimes the smallest role can cast the longest shadow. The soundtrack that spoiled the twist. While Shyamalan and the crew went to extreme lengths to keep the movie's ending under lock and key, one tiny oversight almost ruined everything: the soundtrack. When the official score by James Newton Howard was released on CD, the final track was titled Malcolm is Dead. Anyone who flipped the case over to check the song list would have had the film's biggest secret spoiled in bold letters. Imagine walking into the theater already knowing the twist because of a careless track name. Thankfully, the soundtrack wasn't released until a few weeks after the premiere, sparing audiences from disaster. Still, the blunder shows just how fragile the secrecy around The Sixth Sense really was. The entire production bent over backwards to protect the reveal, but something as small as a music label could have undone all their hard work. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest spoilers don't come from leaks, they come from the credits. Wardrobe clues everyone missed. Shyamalan didn't just hide clues in dialogue or props. He even buried them in Malcolm Crowe's clothes. Throughout the film, Bruce Willis wears variations of the same outfit: a blue shirt, maroon sweater, and brown coat. It's not laziness in costume design, it's a deliberate choice. The outfit is nearly identical to what Malcolm was wearing the night he was shot, signaling that he never moved on. Stuck in a loop, his ghost can't change clothes because he's frozen in the moment of his death. The brilliance lies in the subtle changes. Sometimes the coat is gone. Other times the sweater disappears, tricking the audience into thinking they're seeing different outfits. In reality, those shifts are just enough to disguise the repetition. On a subconscious level, it works as foreshadowing. Malcolm is trapped, unaware of his own condition. What seemed like simple wardrobe continuity was actually one of the most clever misdirections in the entire movie. M. Night Shyamalan's deleted dark cameo. Shyamalan is famous for sneaking himself into his movies, but his original cameo in The Sixth Sense was far darker than the one audiences saw. Instead of playing a doctor in a brief hospital scene, he initially cast himself as a suicidal pharmacy clerk. The deleted version showed his character at a breaking point, weighed down by despair, and it was meant to highlight Cole's sensitivity to pain in the living as well as the dead. But after reviewing the footage, Shyamalan realized the scene changed the tone of the entire film. It shifted focus away from Cole's journey and onto the director's own character, dragging the story into a darker, more disturbing place. Reluctantly, he cut it out and replaced it with a quick, forgettable cameo. It's a decision that shows Shyamalan's discipline. He chose to protect the story over spotlighting himself, even if it meant leaving a powerful scene on the cutting room floor. The nearly fired Disney president, Shyamalan, finished writing The Sixth Sense. He knew the script was special, and he wasn't going to sell it cheap. He demanded a minimum bid of $1 million and insisted he be allowed to direct. At the time, that was a bold move for a relatively unknown filmmaker. But Disney executive David Vogel read the script and was so impressed he immediately bought it for $2.25 million without even consulting the higher-ups. That gamble nearly cost him his career. Disney was furious that he acted without corporate approval, and weeks before the film's release, Vogel was stripped of his power and fired. The irony? The very script that ended his career became a global phenomenon, earning more than $670 million at the box office. Disney kept only a small slice of the profits, while the movie proved Vogel's instincts had been right all along. Toni Collette's paranormal wake-ups. For Toni Collette, who played Cole's overwhelmed mother, the horror didn't stop when the cameras turned off. While filming in Philadelphia, she began waking up at the same strange times night after night, 1:11, 3:33, or 4:44. At first, she brushed it off as coincidence, but the repetition unsettled her. She admitted that the more it happened, the harder it was to ignore, and she started feeling spooked in her hotel room. Collette never claimed she actually saw ghosts, but those repeated wake-ups left her deeply rattled. It was almost as if the film's chilling atmosphere followed her into real life. For a movie centered around uncanny visions and messages from beyond, her experiences blurred the line between fiction and reality in a way that was just too on the nose. Sets rumored to be haunted. The eerie feeling of The Sixth Sense didn't just come from the script, it was baked into the filming locations themselves. Many scenes were shot inside a decommissioned convention center in Philadelphia, a massive building with echoing marble stairways and cavernous hallways that felt frozen in time. Cast and crew described the atmosphere as unsettling, like something straight out of The Shining. Even when the cameras weren't rolling, the place seemed heavy with silence, as though the walls were keeping secrets. Joel Osment admitted the building gave him chills whenever he had to walk its long corridors alone, and co-star Misha Barton swore she often felt cold spots and the sensation of being watched. Crew members whispered about strange noises echoing through the halls during late-night shoots. Whether the building was truly haunted or just played tricks on tired minds, it added a layer of authentic unease that seeped into the final film. How they captured Cole's freezing breath. One of the creepiest details in The Sixth Sense is the icy puff of breath that escapes Cole's mouth whenever a ghost is near. Most people assume it was a CGI trick, but it wasn't. Shyamalan insisted on doing it the old-fashioned way. Crews draped giant sheets of plastic over the set and pumped in freezing air until the temperature dropped below zero. Joel Osment, often wearing just a t-shirt or pajamas, shivered for real as the cameras rolled. That authenticity made all the difference. You can see the goosebumps on his skin, the way his body tenses, and the genuine discomfort in his face. Details CGI at the time could never replicate. Even today, the choice feels brilliant. By forcing the cast to endure the cold, Shyamalan created an effect that not only looked real, but felt real, adding one more unforgettable layer of dread to a film already dripping with atmosphere. From Bruce Willis being dragged into the project as part of a punishment deal, to Joel Osment's haunting audition, to haunted sets, and even eerie real-life experiences for the cast, The Sixth Sense is a film built on more than just clever writing. It's a story shaped by accidents, near misses, and bold decisions that could have gone terribly wrong. Each fact reveals just how fragile the movie's path to success really was, and how close it came to being ruined by forces both in Hollywood and beyond. In the end, what makes The Sixth Sense unforgettable isn't just the ghosts, it's the sense that the film itself is haunted by everything that happened around it, from hidden codes in color and costume, to deleted horrors that never saw the light of day, to chilling coincidences that followed the cast off screen. The movie leaves behind more than a twist ending. It leaves a legacy of mystery, tension, and brilliance that still lingers, just like the spirits Cole could see. So tell me, which of these 15 facts shocked you the most? Subscribe and let us know in the comments.
Not gonna see you anymore, am I?
I think we said everything we needed to say. Maybe it's time to say thanks to someone closer to you.
Maybe we can pretend like we're gonna see each other tomorrow. Just for pretend.
I'll see you tomorrow, Cole.